Hey guys, it's Vandy. About Carpet Vanguard deck profiles. So if you guys know, don't come subscribe and stuff. This time we're covering Stoicheia Levidras set 5. So this was supposed to be the last Destin one for set 5 reveals, and then all of them was released with new cards the day after I'm recording this, which is Wednesday, August 2nd, 5:58 p.m. How do I know that Alden's getting new cards? Because I just checked what Thursday's reveals are going to be, and Alden's one of them. So anyways, let's start, shall we, and see what we got, because honestly, Levidras is a fun deck, and its upgrades are really cool. I love the new Levidras, and it makes me want to put in the ride deck, and I'm half tempted to still do it. So first up, we have our energy generator. It's our ride deck crest. You have ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck. When you ride, put this card into your crest. Let me 1 second. Energy charge 3. Continues better energy. Auto begin red face. Energy charge 3. Act once per turn. Energy buff 7. Draw card. Arm pretty solid. You get a 3 for energy every turn, and this deck does use a decent amount of energy depending on like what you end up in your hand. So being able to get 3 energy every turn is great. Not to mention if you go second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And if you don't end up drawing of your energy blasters, you can use all your energy to end up drawing a card, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a single draw can make the difference in a game. So honestly, the energy generator, nice card to have. Obviously, it's ride deck crest, so we have it in the red deck. Then we have our starter in Stag Dipper Dragon, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, escape base, auto party best auto card stand, starting up after draw if you go second. You can make this any starter you want. The ride line does require it. I choose to run the normal ride lines because those are the ride lines that are canonical to the deck. But I mean, make this whatever you want, but if you're not going to make a Stag Nipper, you automatically can't use the grade 1 of Levidras's line. So one of Stag Nipper in the ride deck, that automatically tells you what the rest of the ride line is, essentially. First up, we have our trigger in Source Dragon DD of Blessings plus 4, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger, and deck. At trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one units, it gets plus movement for the turn, and if it during jet check, activate its addition event. When you get to draw a card, choose one units, give it a crit for the turn. All your farmer gets plus 10,000 power, even though it doesn't specify that it is for the turn. If you draw damage on the same number of cards of your opponents or more, you choose a card from your damage zone to heal it. I have been waiting the entirety of my deck profiles to finally do Stoicheia again because I always love doing that part for Stoicheia. Blessed Favor is my all-around my favorite overtrigger because it's literally an everything bagel. Regardless if you draft check or damage check it, you get a million in a draw. But on top of that, if you drove check it, you get a total of 2 draws, one from its skill, one from the over. When someone gets a crit, either the thing that's getting a million or the Vanguard, if it already hitting, the front row gets 10k, so if the Vanguard was only like a 1 trigger away from breaking through, you don't have to waste the million on it, you can just get the front trigger buff, and then you possibly get a heal. Blessed Favor is such a powerful and fun overtrigger to use, and is not broken either, because even if you flip this, it doesn't guarantee you the win, it doesn't guarantee your opponent the win, it just makes it a lot harder for the opposing side to win, and all around, I love Blessed Favor a lot, I love playing against it, I love playing as it, easily my best overtrigger, one of screw the other ones in my opinion. Moving on, we have our trigger, normal triggers, we have 3 copies of Peppery Pepper, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power. You can make this any crit you want. I choose to make it Peppery Pepper just because, here we go with this loop again. It was the crit in Crystonios' deck, and then it became the crit in, what's it called? In the crit in Zorga's deck, even though it did not fit at all, simply because the Destined one, or the Fated ones were supposed to have the same triggers, quote unquote, as their respective DZ set start bosses, and then because the Fated ones were meant to mirror that, Destined ones were meant to mirror that, that means Peppery Pepper came over here. So 3 crits. Then we have 4 more crits, Inspire Maiden Alana, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, booster shot with the soul tune, we get 2k for the turn. Okay, she goes to soul, she gets her you 2k. You will not have a soul problem in this deck at all. If you had a soul problem and you use this deck to the letter, I would greatly question you, but either way, being able to get soul and give someone 2k is great. And again, 7 crits for pressure is nice, especially when you have a Vanguard that could get extra crits and get God knows how many summers of it. So yeah, 7 crits for pressure, 4 draws and 3 Maiden Lena, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base, continues guard sword plus Vanguards are great through a Gator, 5k shield. So you know, it's a 10k shield, it's nice to have because the draw tricks helps increase the hand. You can run fronts over this, you could run fronts over this, or you could do like a 2-2 with this in front. I just choose to have 4 draws over 4 fronts because I like increasing my hand, and I feel like if I don't run 4 Lenas, I'm not going to see her. There are times where I will see all my Lenas when there's only 2 of them, and there are times where I won't see them at all, so I'd rather have the consistent 4 of. Next up is our heal trigger and cheery support elf, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power, standing heal, and that's better. You can learn any heal you want. I choose to make a cheery support elf because, again, same reason Peppery Pepper is here. DZ set start boss, followed by a Fated one, followed by Destined one having the trigger. You can even make it the counter heal if you want. I choose to make a cheery support elf because I choose to make it a normal heal because I just rather have a consistent 15k shield or fluctuating 1025, but again, you do you. Moving on to our normal units, 2 copies of Deep Depths Reconnaissance, Lagnus. I love how this deck actually got like a bunch of different cards compared to the other Destined ones, and I really like that because this deck feels a lot different from its set 4 variant. This being one of them. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. This man looks beautiful. I love the hunter vibe and like the white hair because for some reason that's what they have ever hunter. Auto rear guard once per turn with 2 attacks or boost. If this unit's on a rear guard circle with a marker on a soul charge 1, give 2,000 power for that battle. Armor pretty solid. It's a 10k booster or swinger, which is nice, plus the Infinity Eyes marker. It's a 20k booster or swinger, which is good, and it gets you a free soul. Again, you shouldn't have soul problems with this deck, but if you're running like a bunch of generic cards, like the really good Soul Blast order that from Stoicheia that everyone uses at some point in time, Spiritual Body Condensation, to call stuff out, you can use that, or use any other Levidras Soul Blast cards. I swear Levidras has other Soul Blasters. So all around Magnus, not a bad grade 1. I don't really need them at more than 2 because again, the deck is already consistent as is, but that soul can help us hit a very specific grade 3 into soul, which we'll get to why that's important later. So for now, it's a 2 of though. Moving onwards, we have 3 copies of Inquisitive Squirrel. Grade 1 boost, 5 showed AK base. I always love the weird animal cross vibes that this deck gives off because look at it. I really like the cross between a butterfly and a squirrel. The wings look beautiful and the squirrel tail just looks amazing. Anyways, auto rearguard once per turn. At the end of this unit boosted by Soul Blasting 1, move this unit to an open back row circle, and if you moved it to a rearguard circle with Infinity Eyes markers on it, you get to stand this unit and get 5,000 power for the turn. All around pretty solid because obviously you're gonna boost or give this the ability from Foxtail to attack from back row, but so it gets 10k, so it's an 18k plus whatever. If you have a marker on it, most likely won't, but if you do have a marker on it, it'll be a 28k booster, and at the end of the battle boost, it's simply Soul Blast 1, and then you just move it to another Infinity Eyes marker, stand it, and then it'll get 5k on top of that, so you have the 18k thanks to Foxtail, 5k from Soul Stuff, so 23,000, plus the Infinity Eyes marker, 33,000, so all around a very powerful booster and or back row attacker, and it can combo really well with the deck, and pretty much is what every offensive deck that dies to triggers wants. And the only downside to, actually, there's not even a downside to it. The best part about this is too, you can just move it to a circle in case your opponent has a bunch of column killers, and you can just move it away from like an important column so your opponent has to waste 2 column killers on it. 3 of the squirrel, it's just very good and I like having it. Then we have 4 copies of Knight of Illusionary Silence Clarence. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, AK base, auto rear guard. I thought this attacked or boosted. If you have an Infinity as marker, say column as it, and you do not countercharge, turn stuff to soul, countercharge 1. Simply put, one of the best countercharges in the game, at least for Stoicheia. Well, if not this is Stoicheia, pretty much the game itself, because it literally just sends stuff to soul, get 1 free countercharge, and all you need is Infinity as marker, say column as it. I believe it counts the ones on your opponent's board as well, so as long as they're your Infinity as marker. So all around Clarence, very solid grade 1. Get you CB, get you soul, which technically you don't have to worry about with since Squirrel is the only one that's taking up soul outside of Levidras, who's a once per game, but I mean, if you need to use it, you use it, so 4 of Clarence. Then we have 4 copies of Full of Knowledge Foxtail. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. The butterfly wings and what I'm going to assume is a deer cross is amazing. Continues rear guard during the battle that it boosts. If you have a grade 3 grade of Vanguard Levidras in the card, you get 5,000 power. And then auto rear guard when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Levidras on the card name. If you have Infinity as marker on your opponent's rear guard circle, this unit gets 2,000 power for that battle, and then by counter blasting 1, choose one of your back row rear guard stunned as that turn. It can attack from back row and get 10,000 power as well. All around pretty solid. So it's a 15k booster regardless. The only downside is that to get the back row attack to someone, you have to have a marker on your opponent's board, but thankfully both Levidrases can put a marker on the opponent's field. So, and then being able to give someone back row attack, it's just great because either you give it to Clarence, you give it to this thing and it does its job, or you give it to this thing and just whatever. All around very solid, or you could just pick Foxtail itself. That is an option. You can just fake Foxtail a 25k booster, 35 if you have an Infinity as marker on it. Just saying, if you're running out of options, because it's a possibility. So for a Foxtail, all around not a very bad grade 1 at all. Good for numbers, good for starting a multi-attack. Literally doesn't require the opponent to be at any grade at all. As long as there's a marker on their board, you can abuse it. So 4 of. Following that, we have 4 copies of our PG and Honeycomb Thyras. Otherwise, I like to call her the PG that half the time I don't think exists, because every deck I play her in, she will either show up consistently, like there will be at least 2 to 3 of her that show up per game, 2 of which end up in hand, the other ones either fluck into damage zone or they come back to hand, or there are games where she doesn't show up, period, and I have to legitimately question if I run Thyras. Because I remember when I was doing the Cristonios versus, I think it was Lisafel matchup, I legitimately didn't draw a Thyras in one of those games, and I looked at the deck to make sure that she was actually in there, because I refused to believe that I didn't at least damage check one of them. And she was in there, she just didn't show up. And it was a good one boost to 0, so it's okay, base continue. Set the target for cells to the deck and upon guard circle, choose one of these. It cannot be hidden to the bottom of your hands to remove cards, and you carve from his card to stand PG. Nothing to special about it, basically means if there's only one of the cards in here and puts it on guard circle, you don't have to discard. It's great, because that means you can be as aggressive as in one of the early games, spam the ever-living hell out of all of these, and then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you, throw this down, middle finger, you're good to go. All around Thyras is a very solid PG to have. You can run Planet Prevent Dragon or Custodial Dragon because they all have the same skill, just to make a Honeycomb Thyras, because she came out close to the time of Cristonius release, so she went into Cristonios, then because, the Faded ones were meant to mirror their start bosses respectively, that PG then went to Zorica, even though it was not fitting at all, and then that PG then came over here because Destin was supposed to mirror Faded, so 4 of Thyras. Then we have our last grade 1 in the deck, 1 of in the rad deck, none in the main deck of Score, Piercer, Dragon. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, AK base, continuous Vanguard. If your soul is a stagnant per dragon in, when you try to make the dragon from your rad deck, you can rattle that discard card from your hand. Okay, typically I hate these skills because they gave it to so many units, but this one does get the pass on the simple grounds of A, the grade 2 does not have a free ride deck skill, so that part is fine, and B, the more important reason, they haven't done it in a while, so I'm willing to give them benefit of the doubt here. But also, this is a very aggressive deck. Like, even if we don't count the way I built this, I feel like the deck wants to be aggressive in the early game, so, like, being able to skip ride deck is pretty solid. So, whenever the ride deck of Score Piercer, you know, sadly no other skills to go off of that, but hey, at least it's free ride deck that you can arguably rush with this. Moving on to our grade 2s. 3 copies of Pack Claw Hunter Huli. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield 10k base. I really regret cutting that 4th copy of Huli because I can definitely see the difference now between 3 and 4. Auto place on rearguard circle if you have an Affinity as marker on the same call message unit. Counterblast 1, choose a great throws card from the drop zone, call it to rear guard, and if you have 3 or more Affinity as markers, give her 10k power. So all around pretty solid. For a simple CB, you at least get 1 unit back, and if you have 3 or more markers, plus 10k. And you know, you combo that with this thing, first grade 3 turn, pretty good numbers all around. So all around, Huli is a very good grade 2, gets rear guards, gets numbers. She's a nice 3 of, if only putting her down by 1 copy did not fuck me over so much. Moving on, we have Onfall and Stoicheia. I swear this deck has it out for me from the original version when it comes to some of these cards. Because like I said, Huli was originally a 4 of, now she's a 3 of, and the extra 3 don't show up at all. Apparently that 4th wasn't what will make the difference. But Onfall has not changed the numbers at all. How does Onfall respect me from that? He doesn't show up, or he will. He will show up, just at, like, the most inconvenient time in the sense of he shows up before I need him, which is fine. The issue is, like, he shows up right before I need him. So, like, he will have me worried the entire game. And then he will be like, oh, I'm here, by the way. I'm not late. I'm still early. Yeah, sure. Anyways, go to 5k shield, 10k base. Auto place on rear guard circle if you have Infinity Eyes, Marcus, and Commas. Energy boss 3, check top 2, choose 1 from one of them, put it to hand, put the other on top or bottom, and give 5,000 power for the turn. All around pretty solid. 1 card to hand that's guaranteed, which is nice. If you see 2 triggers, sucks to suck. But at least you can put 1 on top as well. And typically I tend to hit like a trigger and something from this. But normally it's either a crit and a heal. Here's the thing, if I flip a heal, if the first card I flip is a heal, I guarantee you I will always flip a second trigger off it. But either flips 2 triggers or it flips like a heal / crit into a Levidras most of the time, for at least me, so I can get cards to hand very easily and be a 5k. And then continues rear guard during turn. If you have a great 3 guard Vanguard Levidras on the card name, and you have 3 more Infinity as marker, again counting the ones on your opponent's board, he gets 5,000 power, and if you do not have another copy of him in the back row, he can attack from back row. All around, pretty solid. I mean, regardless if there's another one in the back row, he's at least getting the 5k. But if you want the back row attacker, he just needs to be at 3 more markers and not another copy in back row. And because this thing can set up 3 markers in 1 turn, if you are willing to put this in your ride deck, automatically this thing and combined with Foxo can be 5 attacks on your opponent's grade 2 turn. It is nice pressure, it just requires specific planning. So 4 of Onfall and Stoicheia for that. Then we have our grade 2 Mantis-type Dragon. Grade 2 wins at 5k shield, 10k base. Auto win and road palm by a grade 3 card Levidras on the card name. By Energy Blasting 3, you check the top 5, just 1 grade list card from one of them, and put your hand shuffle your deck. Okay, I think all of us hated the Energy Blast 3 effect before, because, I mean, it was just an added card to hand. Now that we have this, suddenly I don't think any of us care. So, one of Mantis-types in the ride deck. I used to hate the Energy Blast 3 skill. Now I appreciate it because it's pretty much my cheapest and fastest way to get an extra copy of this into hand so I can send it to Soul. Moving on to grade 3s. 3 copies of the card I will never remember to use the skill of, even though I put her in this deck specifically to use that skill and I will never use it. Natiformity Charmant. What I mean by this is in the testing matches, quote-unquote testing matches, that I did between this and I think it was Astrum, every single game, I got a copy of this in Drop Zone. And every single game, I forgot to use her. And I'll always remember it at the end of the turn, and I'll say I'm going to use it next turn, and if there was a next turn, which typically there was, I would not do it, because I literally forgot she was in there. And I just superior called her via another way. Thank you for that one, Huli. So, either way, act Drop Zone. If you have 3 or more Infinity Eyes markers, and you do not have a rear guard with the same card name as her, Soul Blast 1, call it a rear guard. Okay, eats into the soul a little bit, but I mean, not too bad. If you're like me, you don't technically need to do that, because again, Huli, and you will find a way to get her onto board. And then auto rear guard, when she attacks, if you have Infinity Eyes marker on the same column as her, or retire another rear guard, she gets 10,000 power for that battle. At the end of that battle, retire the team, draw a card. Okay. So, the Infinity Eyes marker does not have to be on her circle, it just has to be in the column, but if it is on her circle, and you use the skill, 33k swing, dies, draws, next turn, call her back for a simple Soul Blast, and she is literally discard fodder for the entirety of the game because you can just keep calling her back. So, Charmed is a good grade 3. It literally is just me forgetting that this skill, and not even just forgetting this skill, says this is the reason she's in this deck, this exact skill, and yet I just keep forgetting that to use it because I will call her out from drops on via other means. I just forget she's in there in general. Either way, 3 of Charmed. Good discard fodder that turns into a rear guard, that turns into a 23 to 33k, 43k if you count Persona Right beat stick, that can kill herself to draw cards. 3 of. Following that, we have, and if you pay attention to any of my deck profile structures, you know that this means this is not the right deck grade 3, though with what I'm about to say, it could be. Destined King of Infinity, Levidras Impero. Before I go over its skill, I see arguments for why you put this in the ride deck and why you could put this in the main deck and vice versa. I choose to do it this way only because I know this card has it out for me, because the one time I did it, it had it out for me. So I'm choosing to put this in the main deck because I know my luck. But if you want to put Levidras Impero in the ride deck and put this in the main deck, I 100% understand because that's what I tried to do the first time I saw this. Grade 3 turns out Persona 13k base. Contains a Vanguard Circle. It's also regarded as Destined 1 of Infinity Levidras. During your turn, it gets 5,000 power for each Destined 1 Levidras in your soul, and it gets all their divine skills. Okay. Important things to know. With this continuous skill, you can have up to max copies of both these because they're still considered different cards when deck building. It's similar to Dress Up, except it is not like a Dress Up because Dress Up, once the game starts, they are all considered the same name. This ability only considers itself OG Levidras if it's on Van. So this card is in your main deck, and then you're using like one of the generic searches that says, oh, search your deck for a copy of a card that's a different card name than your Vanguard, and this is on the Vanguard circle, and this one isn't. Then you can search for this one because they're still different names. Either way, though, gets the divine skills and 5k for each OG and Soul. Act Vanguard once per turn, counterbots 1, or put a hand card into Soul. Choose any 2 players' rear guard, shove an Infinity as marker on both of them, and if you have a grade 3 or greater Levidras, if you sent a grade 3 or greater Levidras into your Soul for this event, choose 3 instead of 1, or choose 3 instead of 2. So you either pay CB or you just do what everyone else is going to do. Shove a hand card to Soul so you don't eat into your CB so Huli can go wild. And same with Foxel over here. And then you get 2 markers. But if you sent a Levidras to Soul, ahem, I mean, it could send itself, but ahem, you then get 3 markers. And the best part about it, unlike Levidras over here, who specifically has to do 1 on each board, this one can put markers on 2 markers on the same side of the field. You want to put 2 on your field so you can do attacks? Go ahead. You want to put 2 on your opponent's field? Go ahead. You want to put 3 on your field? Go ahead. You want to put 3 on your opponent's field? Who cares? Like, that's the point. You can do them anywhere. And then Auto Vanguard, the same ability that Levidras has OG. When any other player's units, not when any other player's units, when any player's unit on a rear guard circle with Infinity Eyes markers on them attack or boost, you may have that unit get 10,000 power or lose 10,000 power for that battle. If it was your opponent's unit that lost 10,000 power, remove one of your markers from that rear guard circle and draw a card. All around pretty solid, adds numbers to attackers, adds numbers to boosters, removes power, draw a card. If you wanted to activate an on-attack ability such as this, but you want to CB star of your opponent and you knew the attack would hit if you did have the marker, what you could do is you could remove the marker from your attacking unit, because you could still make that, or you can make it lose 10k, because you can make any unit lose 10k, just most of the time you're going to pick your opponent's unit, but you can make this lose 10k, use the skill, your opponent guards it anyways because it's easy enough to guard because it's a 5k drop, because maybe they pull a defensive, or maybe they pull 2 defenses, can't hit if you minus the 10k, and then you retire her to draw a card, so you still get the resource out of it, but you CB star of your opponent. So I like how Levidras can do those little combo plays. All around pretty solid. It's really good numbers, both offensively and defensively. Literally can get you about 3 markers in one go on first grade 3 turn, and it can proc Divine Skill on its own in a single go. Easy 4 of, and again, you could make it a 3 of in the main deck and 1 of in the ride deck. I see a perfect argument for it. I just choose to do it this way because I know my luck. Moving on to our last card in the deck, 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck of Destined 1 of Infinity, Levidras. Grade 3 to Persona 13k base, act Vanguard once per turn, CB1, choose 1 of your rear guards and 1 of your opponent's rear guards, put an Infinity as a marker on each of them, or in fact, rear guard markers, but rear guard circles I mean, but cool. 1 marker per rear guard, all around pretty solid, and then Auto Vanguard, literally the same ability as this, I'm not going to go over it again, and then the second ability, the Divine Skill, is act Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 rear guards, Soul Boss 1, choose 1 of your and 1 of your opponent's rear guards, put an Infinity as a marker on each of them, and this unit gets 10,000 power plus 1 crit for the turn. Okay. 23k, double critical, not bad. Now, you could do this on regular Levidras, or you go into Imperio. Let's say, for example, this is in your ride deck, and you already got the 2 markers. You go into Imperial on your next turn. You have 1 marker on your board. Let's say you had to use the one on your opponent's board to keep yourself alive. You send this to Soul, or you set, actually, yeah, let's just say, for example, you do send that to Soul. I mean, not like you need to, because I already have a copy in there. You send it to Soul. You get 3 more markers. You shove all 3 on your board, or you shove 1 on your opponent's board so you can use Foxtail. Then you shove the remaining 2 on your board. So you got 3 on your board. Actually, no, shove all of them on your board, because you're going to give your opponent 1 anyways, because then you Divine Skill, because it obtained it from this thing. Soul Boss 1, put 1 marker on your opponent's board, put 1 marker on your board, automatically have a full board of Levidras markers. So, and that actually happened in one of my games. I think it did happen against Astrum on camera. And then your entire board has Levidras markers on it. All of them are getting plus 10k when they swing. And this thing has, let's see, an extra crit, 10,000 power, so 23k, plus 10k more, one from the one in Soul that you sent from its skill, and then the Persona Ride. So, 33k overall, plus the Persona Ride itself, 43. By the way, this is a Persona Ride because it can be ridden on top of it and ridden from. So, Levidras and Pyro, pretty solid for Persona Riding, and same with Levidras all around. Both get markers a lot, both can add a lot of offensive pressure, and just do really well at the job. So again, 3 of the main deck, 1 of the red deck for me personally. If you want to make it this one the ride deck grade 3, by all means go ahead, but I do not suggest change the numbers around because you want to draw this as consistently as possible. And then we have our Infinity as markers because Levidras does everything for the deck. It has no skill whatsoever, so it represents an Infinity as marker and cannot be put into the deck. Make sure that if you bring this to a tournament, you do have enough to supply your opponent with them when you start spamming them down, because I'm pretty sure you could get rule sharked if you don't. And without further ado, that's it for this deck one. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around this deck is actually very fun to play. I remember when Levidras first came out, I did not care for it at all. But then, I don't know why. I didn't even like this art originally. And now I kind of just love looking at this. Like, that's why I keep going back to this one. It's not because I'm trying to explain the skill. I guarantee you that's not the reason I keep going back. It's because I keep wanting to look at that. But either way, being able to have an alternate grade 3 ride is great. Being able to pretty much kill someone on first grade 3 turn if you open right is nice, and just have like a lot of offensive pressure going into it. All around, great deck to have. I love playing it a lot, so I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Twitch. I'll see you all in the next one to stand up your vanguards.